There's 5:30. Call to order this meeting of West Fargo Planning and Zoning Commission. You have the order of agenda in front of you. Are there any additions or corrections? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay, approval of the minutes. Everybody read them? Same thing. Need a motion to approve those.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay. We have a new member, Joseph Hodge. Want to introduce yourselves? Tell us just a little bit about yourself.
All right, lived in Fargo or West Fargo for 7 years, but Fargo area for 12. Originally from Thief River Falls, Minnesota. Owned my own business pretty much my whole life. Now I'm a realtor for the last 8 years. So other than that, I was on city council in Thief River and figured this would be a good thing to be a part of because I like to be involved and hopefully help the city grow and prosper. So.
Okay, hopefully we don't change your mind on that. Well, welcome. Appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Really do. Okay, on to the regular agenda. Only item is a public hearing, 826-2, ARD Properties First Edition, a request for subdivision and conditional use permit to allow for crushing and stockpiling of sand, gravel, or fill dirt and any other materials at 1001 12th Avenue Northeast. Iverson.
Yeah, good evening. So Steve is on vacation today, so I'm going to step in and fill in for him here. So there we go. All right. So this is a request for approval of a 4-lot subdivision as well as a request for conditional use permit to allow concrete crushing and stockpiling of aggregate materials on Lot 3, Block 2 of the proposed subdivision. The subject property is located at 1001 12th Avenue Northeast, which is just on the south side of 12th Avenue Northeast, on the east side of 9th Street, and just west of the Fargo landfill. The proposed subdivision is intended to accommodate future industrial development. The property is currently within the M, which is our heavy industrial zoning district. Additionally, as you can see on the zoning map in front of you, the properties to the south, west, and east are also within the M heavy industrial district. That's the area in purple on the map there. The area north of 12th Avenue, which is not colored purple, is within the city of Fargo. 12th Avenue is actually the city limits. The proposed subdivision would plat the subject property into 4 lots on 2 separate blocks. It would dedicate public right-of-way for two new local streets, which would be 10th Street Northeast and 11th Avenue Northeast, which would be in the northwest corner of the plat there. Additional right-of-way is also provided for a cul-de-sac bulb at the terminus of 12th Street Northeast, which is on the kind of eastern top half of the plat there. With the platting of this property, it essentially will dead end 12th Street Northeast, and so that's the reason for that cul-de-sac bulb. Additionally, right-of-way is being dedicated for portions of 9th Street Northeast, as well as a small portion of 12th Avenue Northeast at the roundabout at 12th Avenue there. 9th Street and 12th Avenue are controlled access arterial streets, and so there will be no direct access to those streets from the subdivision, other than an existing shared access point on 9th Street, which is at the west end of Lot 3. It's kind of hard to see on the map there, but there's a long, skinny protrusion from Lot 3, Block 2, that extends out to 9th Street. That's an existing gravel private drive. So that'll continue to exist as a access point on the 9th Street. With the platting of this, or with this subdivision, it also includes an shared access easement essentially for some of the adjacent properties that also utilize that gravel drive. The applicant intends to request public infrastructure upon approval of the requested entitlements. The details of the associated public infrastructure will need to be coordinated between the applicant and staff, and then ultimately documented within a subdivision improvement agreement. That improvement agreement would be approved at the time of the final plat approval by the City Commission. Additionally, a public dedication agreement will also be needed to accommodate the final, or to accompany the final plat, I should say. The Park District has indicated no need for land within the subject property, and so the applicant will be providing a fee in lieu of land dedication. That public dedication is a standard requirement of our subdivision ordinance. So in addition to the subdivision application, as I mentioned, the applicant is also requesting that conditional use permit for concrete crushing and aggregate stockpiling. This would be specific to Lot 3, Block 2, which is the southeastern lot on the plat there. The preliminary site plan is shown in front of you here. Shows the anticipated general layout of the aggregate operation on Lot 3. So you can see some general locations of various aggregate materials. According to the applicant, I think the crushing, when it does occur, would happen kind of in the middle of the stockpiles there on the lot. According to the applicant, crushing operations would be relatively infrequent and would follow all required permitting and operating requirements, such as air quality permitting through the state of North Dakota. To date, staff has received several comments regarding the proposed application for aggregate crushing and stockpiling, both in favor of and in opposition to the operation. Majority of those have been in opposition to, and for the most part, the primary concerns noted have been the potential for fugitive dust escaping the property and impacting adjacent properties, as well as potential noise that would be associated with the crushing operations, heavy truck traffic, and then perceptions of negative impacts to property values are some of the themes in the comments we've received so far. In addition to the comments noted in the packet, there are copies of any letters we received are included in the meeting packet. We also received, I think, a verbal comment here just prior to the meeting in opposition as well from one of the folks that signed the petition in the packet there, noting some of the same concerns I just noted. So within the staff report, there are the criteria for granting a conditional use permit, as outlined in the city ordinances, is included in the packet there. Staff would note that the M Heavy Industrial Zoning District's stated purpose is to, quote, establish and preserve areas for necessary industrial and related uses, which due to their size and or nature of operation may have a significant impact on the environment and social well-being of the city, and therefore require isolation from many other kinds of land uses, unquote. Overall, staff finds the proposed use to be largely consistent with the stated purpose of the M Heavy Industrial Zoning District. However, fugitive dust is a common issue associated with concrete and aggregate crushing operations, and so staff does recommend several conditions intended to mitigate that specific concern. Ultimately, staff is recommending conditional approval of the proposed subdivision and conditional use permit with several conditions as outlined in the meeting or staff report. So those. So just to vocalize what those conditions are, specific to the conditional use permit, the conditions, recommended conditions would be that the applicant obtains a construction, stormwater permit, and civil site permit from the city engineering department prior to commencing any crushing or stockpiling on Lot 3, Block 2. The applicant obtains an air quality permit from the North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality. Stockpiling and crushing operations must be in compliance with all local, state, and federal air quality requirements. No crushing when sustained wind speeds exceed 15 miles per hour as measured at the nearest National Weather Service reporting station. Crushing operations are limited to no more than a total of 28 individual days in each calendar year. The use of water spray dust suppression system must be used during crushing operations. The dust suppression system must be properly sized to meet industry standards. Site and operations are to be consistent with the information presented here tonight in the Planning and Zoning Commission packet. Crushing operations must be set back at least 200 feet from all property lines of Lot 3, Block 2, and then the hours of operation would be limited to 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. And lastly, the condition for the subdivision would be that the applicant continues to work with staff as to the details of the public improvements in relation to the plat, and that a signed public dedication agreement and a signed subdivision development agreement are submitted prior to final plat approval, outlining those details. So with that, happy to answer any questions you may have for staff. Otherwise, this is a public hearing. I'll leave it at that.
Any questions? Well, this is a public hearing, so I'll invite any members of the public who want to come up. Please state your name and address, and also write your name and address down on the piece of paper that's on the podium there. Are there any comments from the public?
You want me to go at the, oh, sorry.
Excuse
go
me.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Just briefly for the commission's consideration, my name is Joseph Hackman. I'm an attorney in Fargo at ABST Law. Here tonight on behalf of K&K Construction Repair and Galvanizers Incorporated. Their opposition was part of the pack you received tonight. Understanding of that before you as you consider the conditional use permit on tonight's agenda. Just wanted to reiterate, Mr. Showman, on behalf of, K&K Galvanizers was unable to attend tonight, and so he asked me to appear in his stead. I note that some of his concerns were shared with several of the individuals and entities that signed on behalf of the opposition. I noted in reviewing the packet here tonight that several of those concerns were shared by other unaffiliated entities, and I believe that those are probably a lot of the same concerns that have arisen with similar conditional use permits that have arisen both in Cass County and Clay County in the last several years. Particularly with respect to K&K Galvanizers, I think the primary concern is the CNC machining of a lot of the equipment that K&K constructs. Mr. Showman shared with me that his worry is the, technical accuracy that those machines require and whether crushing of some of the aggregates listed in the application would impact his business as a whole. In addition to those concerns, I note that dust, noise, road traffic were also many of the concerns that were noted. So Mr. Showman just wanted to express his opposition to the conditional use permit. As I stated, unfortunately, he's not here to answer any questions, and I don't know that I would be much help in that front, but his position and those of his neighboring businesses were outlined in the opposition that was submitted to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Randy Rust. I purchased one of the shop condos from Thad, 5649 12th Avenue, Unit 14. And I think the letter was probably submitted in your pack there as well. I guess I'm really not in favor of it. It seems like kind of like a boomerang because we just had this about 2 years ago in Riley's Acres with the process of putting the plant there. I'm very concerned about the dust, but probably more so the fact that I'm right on the corner of the cul-de-sac of 12th and 9th. And I sit there and I'm trying to get this condo finished off. The traffic is sometimes just crazy, especially with the Marvin trucks coming out of their plants, going to their facilities. I'm hearing horns constantly. A lot of road rage coming out there, but the traffic in the morning and sometimes in the afternoons gets to be pretty bad in that area. It gets choked up. And my concern is when you have slow-moving trucks trying to gain speed, coming down that road, it gets backed up quite a ways. I've seen it back up probably 200 or 300 feet sometimes just coming into the cul-de-sac. So the traffic, I think, sometimes could be an issue in that area. So, but yeah, it's something I guess I would rather not see it there, but it's up to you guys. So, right there, 5649, 12, number 14. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public? Are you the applicant, sir? Did you want to you answer some of these concerns?
Yeah, I can. 1 second. Okay, well, my name's Trent Duda. I'm with Earthwork Services and ARD Properties. Part of what they're saying, I do understand their concerns, but Right now, a landfill operates right next to galvanizers, 380 feet away. We will be 1,100 feet away from galvanizers where we're going to be crushing. So we're going to be quite a ways further than where the landfill is right now. Northern Improvement right now crushes 700 feet away from them already. 700 feet away from galvanizers. So we're going to be quite a bit, we're going to be 1,100 feet away, so it's quite a bit more. McNelia Steel, you know, for the gentleman that was just up here about the traffic and stuff and the noise, and McNelia Steel has a railroad spur that is about 1,200 feet away from those guys. So it's very industrial right where they're at. Right now, I am to the west of the cul-de-sac, so all my trucks right now go past exactly where he's saying right now. So it should get better because I will be to the east. I won't even go to that cul-de-sac anymore. So I will be more to the east of that where our turn-in will be. So that should alleviate more of the traffic for what he's concerned with. The landfill from the shops on 12th are 1,300 feet away. You know, that's how far the landfill is with their trucks, their dust in the landfill, their dozers daily running, loaders. Hazers is 1,700 feet away from those guys to the north. Galvanizers is 2,100 feet away from the 12th Avenue shops. So, like I said, we're not that much difference in space for all what's going on. 450 feet away from galvanizers, they grind up trees and create a bunch of dust. 400, I mean, right next to it. Right now, galvanizers has a gravel parking lot. So does Hazers. They're all gravel, so it's dust already. I mean, way more than what we're gonna give them from this crushing for a 2-week time span, you know what I mean? So that's the way I see it. So, and for stockpiling, you know, they already stockpile. Galvanizers has a clay pile right there, right on the corner where I bought, that's already existing where they've been stockpiling clay. They have a leach pond, which I don't know if it's lined or not, you know, so that's a concern of mine, but you know, same with Hazers. Hazers has a gravel parking lot. They have loaders running, excavators running daily. So does the landfill. I mean, we're all right there. Wisegrams, they sign that, they have a clay pile stocked on their property right there. Same thing as what we're asking to do. And if I can't put this in between a landfill, a junkyard, and a galvanizers, where can I put it? I mean, there's no place ever that could be put if I can't put it in between there. So, thank you.
Could you go over the watering system that suppresses the dust?
Yeah, they came.
And let us know how that works.
It's been quite a few years now that and we crush now, but it's on too small of an area and it's not connected with what we have. And it does not create a lot of dust. It does create some dust. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it doesn't, because it does. But they have suppression spray nozzles that as it's crushing, it's spraying right into that to keep that dust down. And it is pretty good. It's a pretty good system. You create more dust on a gravel road in a day than I'll create in a month with that thing. You know, so I mean, it's pretty good. I don't think you probably haven't had any complaints from anybody next to Northern Improvement, and they've been crushing a couple times a year for 50 years, you know, right next to these guys without any complaints. Closer than what I'm gonna crush.
And how many days a year do you anticipate crushing? I know you're allowed 28.
I anticipate, we've never crushed more than like 14 days in a year. But I wanted to do a 28-day, just in case there is a time that I can crush for 28. You know, if I needed to do 2 sets or something, you know, but typically it's 1 set and it's 14 to, anywhere from 7 to 20 days that we would crush.
And do you crush year round or?
No, it's just one time. You pile year round, you pile it up, you recycle concrete. Everybody loves recycling. So you recycle, like if we demo this building, we would take all this concrete from here, put it in a pile, and then they come in it's a crusher that comes in, it's a mobilized crusher. They crush for everybody in town, Northern, Dakota Underground. They all come in, they'll go from this spot to this spot to this spot, and they're there a couple weeks at a time. And then they're gone, so.
A quick question. You currently have your business just west of there,
Yep.
correct? And are you expanding your business? Is
No, we're too big for the spot that we're in. That's why
Okay.
we bought this. We just don't have enough room where
So
we're
it's
at.
just a site for the materials, basically?
Yeah, and our shop's gonna be going to the north. On lot 2. That's where our office is gonna go, right on the north side
Oh,
of
okay.
lot 2.
Gotcha.
And that's where so it'll be, an office will be facing the road, so it'll just be an office and a shop. And then all the parking will be behind that. That's why I split up these lots into lot 2. So that's like where the trucking will be, like the parking for the equipment and stuff like that will be there. In lot 1, that's being sold already to the Nordic Group, so they're buying all that stuff. So there'll be everything like Midland Garage Door, it'll be those type of buildings in there.
Thank you.
And your access road to this is going to be gravel?
No, the access 12th Street,
Well, is that
that'll be a paved road.
how you access the piles?
Well, that'll be a paved road, 12th Street.
Right,
We'll
but-
end up asking the city to put in a street there,
I see.
and it'll go all the way
Yeah,
down
I
to
see
the
that.
cul-de-sac.
Yep, okay. So the trucks won't create any dust when they're going in and out to load the,
Not any more than the landfill or hazers or galvanizers.
well, the landfill is in dirt roads,
Yeah,
a
so is
road-
hazers and galvanizers.
Yeah, right. Any more questions for the applicant, commissioners? Are there any more comments from the public?
Evening, Commissioners. Brian Pattingill with Houston Engineering. We're responsible for the plat and stuff. We know traffic's always a concern with the public on any industrial development or any development in general that increases traffic. We have worked with the city here, obviously, on the plat, you can see, to sort of help align all our intersections and accesses. We're lining up with existing intersections as far as on 9th and 12th. They're both arterial streets. Yes, it's a trucking facility, but it's not going to generate traffic at a volume higher than, say, another warehouse facility would be put in the site. So, these are street legal trucks from the weight limits. They're all, highway legal trucks. So, we always see that concern from the general public about traffic, and we want to address that. We've worked with the city to sort of align our access points to make sure we're meeting that requirement. We're not going to hurt traffic, but we're not any more intense use as far as traffic generation volumes than, say, a trucking warehouse or some sort of industrial operation that's going to be hauling material in and out type of thing. So, like I said, we're working with the city to make sure we meet the requirements. We've aligned with access to trying to address those concerns as best as possible, as always. And like I said, high volume traffic is adjacent to 2 arterial streets. That's where you want your high volume traffic directed to, is arterial streets. So, happy to answer any questions or any concerns about that. I know, like I said, that's a big concern always with the general public, is traffic generation. So.
Well, I know we're building a new overpass on 9th there, and with turning lanes, is that correct? Is that going to improve the traffic? It should improve the traffic along 9th in the future, right?
There will be a suicide lane, call it, in the middle of it, and then an additional roundabout at 9th and 7th. So things should improve.
You think a traffic engineer should be calling it a suicide lane?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yeah, and actually, that road's going to be closed for a good year, I suppose, to construct that overpass, too.
Local traffic only. That's it.
Are there any other comments from the public? Last call, are there any other comments from the public? All right, we'll close that portion of the hearing. Commissioners, questions, comments, concerns, motions?
Maybe a question for Aaron. Do you know if there have been other businesses that have been subject to similar conditions on concrete crushing operations? And if so, have there been complaints about those businesses from dust or noise or things like that that we're hearing here?
Yeah. So maybe there's a couple of instances that come to mind that aren't, exactly similar, but similar enough. One was probably, I think most recently, we had a conditional use permit application for a temporary crushing operation associated with a interstate project. That was located just, probably, I don't know if you remember where that was, Lisa. Just west of the stockyards. I think that one was just by the Cheyenne diversion, kind of by the Nert landfill there. That was just a, couple month operation. There wasn't really any protest that I can recall from that one in particular. But also was, adjacent to the diversion and a lot of city-owned property as well. The other one, more recently, or one a crushing operation that occurred more recently, I should say, was with the stockyards, the demolition associated with the stockyards. That wasn't, I don't believe that was a conditional use permit. That was more a part of a demolition permit and also a temporary operation. But there was quite a bit of dust that did filter into an adjacent neighborhood across the river. And so the city did receive a lot of complaints from dust in relation to some of those operations. Additionally, there's a crushing operation along 7th Avenue right next to the stockyards. I think similar to the request, they do crushing operations maybe once every year, every other year, give or take. They do reach out and let us know when they crush, because there is, we do get calls when the crushing occurs. That conditional use permit, though, has been in place for at least 2 decades, if not more.
Are those permits subject to similar conditions that we would have here? Limitations on number of days, wind speed, time, all that?
Some of them are. I forget which ones exactly. We try to be consistent with conditions that we've used in the past. In this case, we did several of these. There are additional conditions, I will say, as part of this recommendation, just based on the complaints and concerns that we've received for this application in particular.
Thank you.
Yep.
And who monitors the wind speed? I mean, is it the operator of the crushing machine that, if Hector Airport gets over 15 miles an hour, they stop?
Yeah, that'll be the responsibility of the property owner to make sure that they're compliant with all regulations, including conditions of the conditional use permit. And then it does give us some teeth if we do get a complaint and we do observe, code enforcement gets sent out to take a look, and they observe crushing taking place on such and such a date, and we can point to data from the National Weather Service that says, yeah, indeed, wind speeds were 20 miles per hour that day. Then we have some evidence to move forward with code enforcement, or up and including revocation of the conditional use permit as well. So.
I'll entertain a motion one way or another.
A motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second, with the CUP conditions and the subdivision conditions. I assume that's what you're.
Yeah, there's 10 of them, I believe. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, we can take the roll.
Commissioner Schwan,
Yes.
Commissioner Almond,
Yes.
Commissioner Weary,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gust,
Yes.
Commissioner Fornes,
Yes.
Commissioner Kopp,
Yes.
Commissioner Haas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is approved. Thank you, everybody. It's a good discussion. Non-agenda items. I did send Aaron an email after I heard about this Roars development in Fargo that got, I believe it was tax increment financing or a tax break to put up these housing buildings, and then they decided to sell it to a nonprofit. And so the the tax base is hurt there, and maybe you could just explain to them what the answer was to that. I was wondering if there were guardrails for something like that happening to West Fargo, if that were to happen.
Yeah, I'll just caveat with, I don't work in economic development.
Sure.
But we do certainly have an economic development
Yeah.
department that could answer some of these questions in more detail. But my understanding is we do have the ability, typically with any incentive, we do have the ability to put together an incentive agreement and, similar to like a conditional use permit here, include certain conditions of approval. And so we don't have any specific policies or requirements in place today in terms of any sort of clawbacks or anything, in case there's any sort of what-if scenario where things don't pan out the way that the city anticipated. But I think that is something that Casey, our economic development director, is kind of looking at developing some policies currently. And so this is certainly on her radar and something that might be discussed in the future. But again, I'm not directly involved in those conversations.
I understand that.
Yeah.
It just would frustrate me if I approved a project like that had, tax financing for them, and then they turn around and do that. We're waiting for that eventual tax benefit to come into play when they improve a property, and then all of a sudden, that doesn't come in anymore. That would be frustrating to me as a planning commissioner to approve something like that and then see this happen. So, thank you for that. Thank you for that answer. Any other non-agenda items, new or old business? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Great. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Not too painful.
It's not even farm.
Grabbed a vending machine.